The central purpose of this channel is to find the secret language of the universe. We have mapped the 11 dimensions, but today we confront the greatest intellectual scandal in modern science. Physics cannot be unified. The two most successful descriptions of reality, general relativity, the physics of the giant, and quantum mechanics, the physics of the small, both describe the same world, yet their mathematical language is fundamentally incompatible. This failure is not just a technical problem. It is a profound philosophical schism that has fractured theoretical physics into warring camps, diverting resources and leading to theories that predict nothing and explain everything. At the 11-dimensional model, the universal Tao, we assert that this failure to unify is a consequence of fighting the flow. A failure to look beyond space, time and matter and return to the ultimate truth of the zero dimension. The conflict is one of fundamental definition. General relativity, the law of gravity and the cosmos, demands a dynamic spacetime. It requires the geometry of space to be a flexible, participating field that gregariously joins the drama. Quantum mechanics, the law of the small, demands a fixed spacetime, a passive, non-dynamic stage where particles and fields exist. When you try to combine these two systems, when you demand the small particles obey quantum rules within a dynamic spacetime, the mathematics collapses. It generates catastrophic infinities, a mathematical scream that signals a physical breakdown. This catastrophic failure is not a flaw in the calculation. It is a sign that spacetime itself must be discrete, possessing an elementary quantum granular structure at the Planck scale. The failure of unification fractured physics into two dominant, mutually exclusive camps, each prioritizing one side of the conflict. First, string theory. This is the most popular approach. It starts with the familiar quantum framework and replaces point particles with tiny, vibrating strings to mathematically smear out the infinities. But for the math to work, the price is severe. It requires space-time to have 10 or 11 dimensions. Second, loop quantum gravity, LQG. This is the more radical approach. It assumes the background independence of general relativity is sacred. It quantizes space-time geometry itself, defining the quantum state of space using spin networks. LQG requires no extra dimensions. These two theories are fighting over the very identity of the cosmos. Their requirements are completely incompatible. 10 dimensions versus 4 dimensions, fixed background versus dynamic background. This forced division is why unification remains unattainable. The biggest problem isn't the conflict, it's the lack of experimental evidence. In the absence of data, physics risks losing its scientific rigor. The mathematical internal consistency of string theory, specifically the mechanism used to curl up extra dimensions, generates up to 10 to the power of 500 possible universes. The string theory landscape doesn't predict our universe. It gives us a menu of infinite possibilities. You cannot test 10 to the power of 500 universes. The entire discipline shifts from rigorous prediction to post hoc statistical selection. This forces physicists to rely on untestable probabilistic arguments, sacrificing the core scientific requirement of falsifiability. The failure to unify is ultimately a philosophical flaw. Both sides are trapped by the assumption of materialism, that reality is fundamentally reducible to space, time, and matter. The only way to reconcile the continuous, GR, and the discrete, QM, is to look for a primordial realm of pre-physics where both structures emerge together. This is the zero dimension, 0D. It is the singularity of pure potential, the unmanifest Tao. It is the source from which the seemingly incompatible forces of the cosmos arise, not as antagonists, but as necessary complementary expressions. The 11-dimensional model is a map of this reconciliation. Unification is found not in more mathematical dimensions, but in the ultimate harmony of the zero dimension, where consciousness, energy and form are one. The crisis of physics is a mirror. It shows us that when we prioritize elegance over evidence, and when we enforce rigid boundaries over natural flow, we create chaos. The path to unification is the ultimate path of the Tao. Letting go of the need for control, embracing the ambiguity, and trusting that the deepest truth lies in the primordial source. Thank you for watching. If this resonated, please like and subscribe, and most of all, share this video with anyone it may speak to. Your support keeps this journey alive.